Gentlemen, please, there's 3 things you've got to stop doing, because all it's doing is amplifying the fact that you are not a confident man. Check it out. There's not 3, there's actually 5. But if I said 5 at the start, you might have gone, oh, I don't have time for that. Because we need to feel like we're doing a lot at the time. Look, get on the treadmill and listen to me, all right? Seriously, guys, you need to stop. Do not, number 1, do not ever ask a guy who may even be your friend, all right? Especially someone you don't know. Look, even if he's your friend, even if it's someone you met on the first date, guys, seriously, number 1, do not ask a guy what he lifts, what he benches. Oh my God, how small is your dick? How many times are you going to have to be John Valjean and save a woman who's under a car and use all of your strength? You know, it's the same as buying the fastest car on the street. When are you going to use it? Guys, you don't project this insecurity by going around saying, oh, well, I lift 100 or I bench 120 or 150 or whatever, and you only do body weight and stuff. Think about the end result. The end result only makes you look like a dickhead. Chances are you're short. Yeah, I'm calling you out on it. Yes, I'm telling you, it's a short man syndrome thing, it's a small penis thing, and I can't have it, man. If you're gonna be confident, first of all, it stops there. Second of all, do not use any female terminology. Do not go to a female life coach and then use this idea of self-love. It's not for men, that's for women. That is a woman term. Okay, self-love, you know, there's so many depths we can go into why that is a thing, but I'm telling you now, do not think about it as self-love. Think about it as on purpose, on mission, and I'm control of my schedule. That will give you the self-love that they're talking about, right? The loving of your schedule, you know, it's compartmentalized in terms of men, because everything is internal and external with men. With women, it's external first. External first, self-love comes from internal measurement towards the external. It's the opposite way for men, okay? That's number 2. Stop buying into any terminology that is feminine in nature. Number 3, guys, do not idolize any of your friends that have nothing. As in, they've lost their hot girlfriends, they've lost their houses, and you know, they're older than you and they think they've got all this advice. Stop listening to them. Stop idolizing the leaves in the wind. Women are leaves in the wind, not men. Any man that is living in the past story of his failure or his rise to success and then his loss of it, the success, is not somebody you want to idolize. You cannot go into a gym and go, oh, that guy's overweight, I'm going to ask him what he does. What the hell are you doing? You need to surround yourselves with people that you look up to. Look, I know there's other coaches out there, there's other people out there talking about the sum of the 5 and you're going to be the 6th or whatever. But seriously, it takes one person in your group to change a lot of things for you and go, well, that person's onto it in this way and that way and that way. I'm going to do what he does. I'm going to actually listen to him and he's going to be my source of inspiration. Stop listening to the person you don't want to be. You'll think of this as the cast of Winnie the Pooh. Do you listen to the Eeyore? Or do you listen to Tigger? Or do you listen to Pooh? Which one is it? You need to place yourself in the character. Which character are you? Right, 2 more things you need to stop doing before I tell you what you need to start doing. Right, number 4, stop tearing down your friends behind their back. Sure, they might put out content that isn't perfect. Hello, me. You know, it doesn't matter if there's a spelling mistake or if my head's cut off from one thing. Chances are you've already watched 3 minutes to find that error. Right? You are under analysis paralysis before you do anything, and you're scared of putting yourself out there just in case you might get it wrong. This is something you need to work on in being an insecure man. I don't want to be seen as faulty. I don't want to be seen to be this, that, and the other. You need to somehow get ignorant over that before you can get confident. Before you can get confident, you need to be ignorant of those things, of falling first, failing first, of looking a little bit unprepared. It doesn't matter, because you know what, in the sea of people that you are going to potentially try and surface up into someone's newsfeed, they're already going to see 10 other people before you or 10 other people after you. What are they going to remember? What are they going to remember? If you stuff up, chances are that's a good thing. And then they're going to tell you, oh, you stuffed up here and you weren't perfect there. Fantastic. They're talking to you. They've seen what you've done. See it as a good thing. Number 5, there are no shortcuts. Some of my friends come to me and go, oh bro, like I was reading at the gym, you only need to go to the gym 3 times, and I was reading this thing or whatever. Or when it comes to the gym, guys, and making your body, there's no such thing as cheat meals and days off. Don't feed the lies of, oh, I need this trans fat, whatever. If you need more food, eat more chicken. You know, if you need more food, eat more of the good stuff that's doing. You know, be strategic in the good stuff. You know, if you're gonna have a bad meal, say I'm gonna have a bad meal because I need a bad meal because my palate's not adjusted yet, or because I'm, you know, basically weak. You know, get real. Right, 3 things I want you to do to start becoming a confident man. Okay, I've told you what to stop doing. The 3 things you need to start doing. First of all, find the best looking guy in your group and tell him he's awesome. He may have fucked the girl, he may have been with the girl that you wanted to be. Great. Tell him he's good. Bless that soul. Say, you lucky bastard. I want to be you. I'm so impressed by you. I'm inspired by you, bro. You know, I like being your friend, right? Because you need to start breaking down these problems of your own insecurity. You need to like be okay with the fact there are better looking people than you out there. Trust me, I do this all the time. I have to do this all the time. Okay, because otherwise I get worried about certain things. There's so many things I don't like about myself, or I would change if I was God, but there's also so many things I do like about myself because I practice this thing. I tell my friends like Michael Fallon, Teddy Briggs, all them, they're way better looking than me, they're way more popular, way more famous, way richer than I'll ever be. My man Lloyd, he's like half my age and like 5 times the net worth of me. I tell him, and he's ripped. I'm like, dude, you suck, but I love you, man. I'm so glad I'm friends with you. You know, you're inspiring to me. So start doing that. Number 2, stop worrying about getting big. Stop worrying about putting size on. What is that going to achieve? What is it going to achieve? Unless it is strategy. Unless you are working with a personal trainer and you are trying to achieve a goal of being, you know, a strong man in this competition, look at it as just for that competition. But being big is hard to maintain. You know, get a body weight focus. Honestly, this is going to help you just go, as long as I can manage my body weight, I'm going to be fine. As long as I can manage my body weight, I'm not going to be asking guys how much they bench. And my dick is not going to be threatened by the bigger guy in the room. Okay, again, you can't build confidence without going internal and fixing these little like broken strands, all right? The things that you are making worse every day by not having a good enough routine. And number 3, get a plan for your life. Now it sounds really vague, all right? I know, but real confidence with women, real confidence with yourself comes from the love of your schedule. Like I'm saying in other videos, like I'm saying on Air Your Dirty Laundry, like I'm saying in right now, is this idea of self-love and all that kind of stuff. It's a feminine. The idea of self-love is a feminine terminology. A masculine terminology is on my purpose, on my mission, on my schedule. Right? You've got to scheduleize your life. All right, so Friday night, you're with the boys. Saturday night, you're at a game, watching the game with the boys, whatever. Sunday, you might allow a nice beer or whatever. Maybe have a Sunday lunch with your family or whatever. Date night with your girlfriend or the girl you want to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because she's going to have girls' night next week. You need to scheduleize that stuff. Why? It's conditioning the expectations. It's priming the body. It's making sure that you are okay with what's coming up, predicting the future. All right? Those sort of things are going to start making you settle down and relax a little bit into your schedule, which again is going to project a confidence, because you're not going to be like, oh baby, aren't we going to hang out Friday, Saturday, no, let's kind of stuff. You're going to start looking needy. You're going to start looking wanting. And I understand that that's okay for a man, but again, we're working with the other species here, the other girls here, and how they relay that information is definitely not the same way that a man relays that information. And guys, you've got to find the joy in watching, soccer with your boys. I swear to God, in Finland, for me, the best part of it was sitting at the bar, drinking a Coke Zero or even sometimes a beer, because I let myself go and watching soccer. And when they changed the channel, I was pissed off and I left the bar. If you watched this far, I can't believe it. If you've watched this far and you're a girl, again, can't believe it. But let's recap. Okay, so guys, please stop asking other guys how much they bench. 2, stop using feminine terminology to try and handle masculine problems. Number 3, stop idolizing the dude in the group who has had success and lost it. Do not idolize leaves in the wind. 4, stop tearing your friends down for imperfection. Number 5, stop thinking there's a shortcut, all right? 3 things to do, check it out. Lift up your best friends, tell them they're awesome. Say thanks for being friends with me, bro. I'm glad to be in your group. Number 2, have a body weight focus so that you are not getting into this, priming sort of intention of saying I'm not good enough. When you are good enough, my body is good enough. I'm going to use my body that is here, so I'm going to build some more strength just with what I got. Thank you, God, for what I have. Number 3, stick to the plan of being on your schedule, right? Work out exactly what you do and then manage your schedule. This will really help with the inserting of confidence because it's prediction for the week, all right? And you won't sway and you won't alter when things change. When girls say, oh, my plans changed on Friday night, can I hang out with you? You're like, no, baby. Because I've got my schedule, I'm on my purpose, I got my boys tonight. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait to when we're supposed to have the date on Monday, all right? Trust me, this really helps in terms of conditioning yourself. Okay, I'm your guy in your corner, you know where to find me. I hope you have found some value from this video. Make sure you click like and subscribe, do all the things you know what to do because it's 2020. And if you need to get a little bit more of what I am giving out, then you know where to find me, links below. Check it out. We're gonna walk through a couple of different poses, a couple of different techniques. We've got some photographers and film guys here. And basically just gonna work on some ideas like mood boards and put some things together and see what magic we create. That's basically how it works. We go into a shoot with a couple of ideas, a couple of mood boards, and wait for the magic to come. So one thing to keep in mind when we're practicing for runway is obviously to become one with the clothes that we're wearing, okay? We don't have to smile and go, hey, look, I'm performing, I'm walking, and everyone's looking at me. We have to adopt the personality of what the clothes are. Now, the clothes itself are going to do the talking for us. So that means when we're walking, essentially, yes, straight up, like we're backing off a wall, coming towards and using our hip first, okay? So we're coming in like that. You don't need to smile or anything. Like when you're stopping, you've obviously made a choice which leg to stop on. Then you sit back into that leg, okay? Swap sides and shift the weight, and then determine how you're going to move back. Very simple. In terms of when we are going to be catwalking, we want to make sure that we've got a lot of length. Obviously, string theory up, drape the arms, coat hanger here, but we're going to move from our hips. Now we don't want to shift out hips that side, we want to shift hips back. And we make it deliberate when we stop. So when we walk up to our mark, we want to choose the leg that we're going to stop on, stop here. Okay, now all the weight comes back, shift in there, but don't stretch it out completely. You want to have some sort of bend in it. Then you can make your pose. First pose, 3 seconds. Okay, generally it's like that, all right, because you don't want to be anything but pretty much a mannequin, and obviously, the personality of the clothes that you're wearing, you want to adopt. You don't want to go, hey mom, look at me, hey everybody. You want to be, I'm one with the clothes, I'm one with the vision of the designer. So we've made our stop, 1, 2, 3, shift our weight, 1, 2, 3. The purpose of this is obviously so you can see the clothes in action, so everyone can get an idea of the functionality, the practicality of the clothes and how it works. And then you make your exit after another 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. So just walk up to the camera and then be deliberate with the side that you're going to stop on. Okay, make your first pose. 1, 2, 3. Doing a third pose. Okay, now make a strategic exit. That's it. Excellent. Female and the male, different styles. All right, cool. So what I want you to do, Jess, obviously, bit of strength theory. So you measure up. You look like there's a wall behind you.
Yep.
So when you're going to jet off the wall, you are straight. And basically the coat hanger, everything is draped down. So just drape, not relax, no sort of military, nothing like that. So we're going to use the hip first, and imagine there is a straight line right in front of you, like this straight line.
Yeah.
So basically we're going to go from your hip to heel on the straight line, but we don't want it to hit straight. We actually want it to twist a little bit, sort of almost 40 degrees, not 45, not 90, not 45, sort of 40. So you've been going hip to heel. So still keeping upright, go hip to heel, right? So that's basically still on the straight line.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, so no, it's fine. You can learn on flats and then you can progress up to heels and whatnot. So again, so straight line, drape everything, hip to heel, 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 and then deliberate stop into pose. All right, now, this is the tricky part where you basically lose all focus, you look down, you can't look down.
Yeah.
Okay, look down and don't think about where this is gonna go, because it's sort of natural to like slope your head and go, here's my first pose, all right? And then we lose everything. Also, no personality here unless, because the clothes have got the personality, all right? So no personality here, the clothes have got the personality. So then straight up again. Now basically you're on the wall as you started.
Yeah.
All right, first pose. Shift weight, second pose.
Yeah.
Then 2 step back. 1, 2, on the line, turn. Now when you turn, obviously don't drop the head again and think my job is done. Your job's just started, okay? Now you got to get back. So that's all part of the job. So 1, 2, turn, head up again, straight back. Now some people, practice with the book on the head. That's good because again, that's all about using this back muscle to pivot from your waist, your back muscle here, the actual opposite of the abs, and then straight back to where you started. Of course, then we can turn back flat against the wall. So you're up.
Okay. So just like the posing in my memory real bad. So there.
Yeah, so when you stop, it's a deliberate stop, as in that's your first pose. So when you hip to heel on the ground, right, that's where you're going to push your weight and then choose where you pose. Let's gear up from the start. All right, stop. All right, string, drape, okay, hip to heel, walk. That's good, relax, now stop. Okay, good. So now shift the weight back, that leg back there, okay. Now make it 2 step backwards, 1, 2, turn. Good, excellent. Now stop, all right, do it again, like that. Okay, so up against the wall, drape, present close, and then walk to me. Hip to heel, hip to heel, hip to heel. Tiny bit more swag, but I mean, Jess is injured, you've got to keep in mind. So, her body's hips and things like that have been altered. But, just if you're going a little bit of swag and also your pace. If you're nervous and you're walking, it's natural to sort of speed it up and go, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get this done. Okay, no, you need to glide like a duck. Okay, so just glide, pace, confidence. You've got this. Up against the wall, everything done. Deliberate stop. Okay, now present close. Right, now strategic exit. 1, 2, turn. Don't drop the head. Don't drop the head and think your job is done. It's not. It's just started. It's just started. Okay guys, so something to keep in mind also is when it comes to catwalks is that basically it's a showcase, all right? 9 times out of 10 it's not about getting paid or being the guy who's paid for the actual catwalk itself, unless there's something specific that the designer is wanting, like in terms of the rehearsal, in terms of how the models do formations at the end, or if they've got a bit more profile and they're already seen on front of magazines and they've got profile and they're bringing people to the show because they had those specific models or they're signed to those model groups. So one thing to remember is that showcase and networking happens at fashion shows. It's a good chance for the model to come in and meet other designers, other photographers, set up more shoots, and also find out who the agents are, because chances are there's going to be scouts there. So I've had a lot of models come to me and go, oh well, look, can I get some paid work at like a fashion show, or can you pay me to walk for you? Chances are there's always going to be someone hungrier to network. There's always going to be someone who's ready to get in there and showcase what they got. Look, unless you've got incredible symmetry, you understand your proportions and you know how to use your body in terms of framing, and I need that specific look for my clothes, I'm not really going to be interested in paying you for that. Like, it's just something you need to keep in the back of your mind, that when it comes to catwalks and fashion shows like that, it's a great opportunity for you to network, mingle, get your name out there, find the agents, find the talent scouts and all that kind of stuff. Stop putting payment first, okay? Something for you to really think about and keep in the back of your mind. Can't stress that enough.
Stevie Mac here from Australia. I am one of the leading model trainers here. Thank you very much for taking the time to use this little posing breakdown. I look forward to being in Atlanta as soon as possible. Okay guys, posing basics for models that are going to be. Now, some people think that this is a good pose. No, it's terrible, because our chin is right down, can't get a great connectivity with the eyes, and of course it just looks like we are not supported in our back. Using a wall gives you an idea of how straight you need to be, and then of course we adopt the string theory, pulling up the head like a puppet so that your body can then act like a coat hanger, here being sort of the bottom of the coat hanger and here being the part that is hanging the clothes, okay? So that also gives us an idea of where our movement can be, okay? So obviously if you are on string theory and you are now placed as a coat hanger, there's not a part of you that's going to go this way or go this way, for example, because that would just be silly. So if we are upright as a coat hanger and we are draping our arms, that means now the clothes are wearing us. And we are, yes, of course, working with the clothes to achieve the vision of how the clothes are going to look on us. Now also I have made up this thing where I do the Holy Trinity, so Father, Son, Holy Ghost, gives us an idea of where we should move if we're moving collectively as a Trinity, as 3 points of the triangle, yeah? So that gives us an idea of where we should move our head. If we're going to move it each way, we don't drop our head, and any sort of diagonal thing, again, we can just put it back. So, and it's always good when posing to think the wall is behind you and therefore you're standing up straight. And that gives you, if you're going to move your shoulders, you move your shoulders in. Don't move them in like that, because then we lose a lot of the body. Okay, so this is just a posing breakdown. Now, this also works the same if you're going to catwalk, okay? You start off on the wall, keep it up straight. You don't want to move too forward, especially with posing or catwalk or anything like that. You don't want to lose the direction of where the camera is pointing. The camera's going to get all of you. It wants to see most of you and see your chest as well. So put that out, and so lean back into the pose. All right, that's a good little breakdown. I'm going to hand you over to Ego to talk around the rest.
Right, so this was basically an overview of how to model with another person. So what we tried to do is match 4 to 5 outfits and get the correct backgrounds happening As you can see, I'm doing all the work and she's staying in one place, which I guess is fine and probably expected when you're working with female models because they don't have a great deal of versatility. Depending on where the photographer's aiming in terms of if he's just capturing headshots and whatnot, is where I'm moving my body to suit. Bending down, making sure that I'm using my facial features such as my jawline to really get my look happening to accentuate her face. As you can see, she's standing pretty much still, so that gives me all the options to create my shapes and sort of just move into her. So the photos are going to come out as obviously something for me to use more so than her, because she's going to look pretty much similar in all of them, which is fine because her face actually captures quite well on camera. So I'm basically directing, sort of telling her, okay, just move a little bit into me, I'll do the sort of creative posing, whatnot, so that we get differences in every shot. And then I'll be checking the photos just to make sure that the framing was correct, to also see whether or not I need to move anything, or if I'm happy with what he's already got and whether or not we need a couple more. Definitely for this style of leather jackets in black, you don't want to be smiling. You got to fit the genre of the clothes. You got to think, okay, well, we're wearing leather, we're looking sort of, you know, rockabilly, rock and roll, you know, bikey, whatnot. There's all those elements captured, so there's a certain attitude that comes with that, so you got to be mindful of how you portray that attitude in the photos. Photographer saying he doesn't feel like he's captured enough of what could be a great set of 3 or not more, so I'm suggesting that we, you know, spice it up a little bit, get a bit more movement out of her, try a couple of shapes. If she's going to pull her hair and do something slightly fun or slightly, you know, in your face, then that's okay. It could probably come with a smile or an attitude, but again, the photographer's going to take, you know, 40 or 50 photos and only pick 5 at best. Ideally just 3 for Instagram or for whatever he's going to use it for. Yep. Again, it comes down to where exactly his framing is, so that I'm not looking too forward. Also, you don't want to lose the legs. You also do want to capture a couple of full body ones, especially with the white background, because that would look nice. You have to Photoshop and iron out the background. So it's still white, you wouldn't be able to change it much, although there is a way to do it. It's like a green screen. But yeah, as you can see, he's definitely got to fix up the background so it looks nicer. And then we're going for some solo shots as well. Okay, so now I've got a different look, different background. Obviously, if I'm not wearing black, then having a black background is helpful, because it's going to be in Photoshop a lot easier to just find absolutely everything. So all those considerations in place when I'm doing a solo shoot and he's filming, taking photos rather on the side, he is getting the full body. So I need to make sure that my tilt and my pivot and my angles are in line with how he's shooting it, and making sure that it's not too overdone. And also see how I am really sitting into my bottom. That's a silly sentence, but you don't want to be forward. You want to be more so going backwards, if anything. Definitely pushing back, and you don't want to lean too forward. If anything, you want to lean backwards. And it's really important because the more you lean forward, the more you'll lose your legs. And now we're trying the double denim because that's a thing. Whilst the double denim doesn't exactly match, you can still get away with the hashtag and come up in the searches. Now, for every time he shoots, I'm wanting to move. You don't want to get two of the same exact shot, unless he's obviously one's a headshot and one's a full body. Even then, it sort of comes down to the quality of the camera and whether or not he's going to do it as well. So we've got the girl model now. She's obviously a lot shorter than me, so that means I've got to work harder, and I've got to bend, and I've got to try and attempt for her to match some of my poses, or just to work around her poses, because again, girls aren't hugely versatile in terms of their movement. Most of the time they generally have one or two looks that they've perfected or that they're comfortable with, which is fine. But again, the height difference means that the photographer has to stand up on a stool, and he's not necessarily going for anything full body, and at best he's going to have to direct just in terms of the height difference. It's going to be impossible for me to know exactly what he's seeing, but as you can see, I'm having to bend right down and to work with him in terms of how he's going to capture the frames, and then I need to check it. So, do I need to adjust anything? Do I need to be down further? Do I need to be down up? I mean, as much as I can envisage and attempt to see his vision or whatever he's thinking of or hoping to achieve, constantly checking the camera and gives me an idea of how I can move forward. Now we're trying a stool, obviously, so we can match heights a little bit better. So these are the things that are necessary in terms of just getting the right landscape in the photos and whatnot. Now we can match heights a lot easier, and I'm doing all the work, which is fine. But that's generally what you need to expect when you're working with female model. You need to basically direct them. It's like a dance. They need the male to take the lead. I've never yet worked with a female model who isn't too worried, or isn't in her own head in terms of how she looks and wanting to just use her right side for the photos. So the males are always going to be a little bit more confident when working with the female, because they'll find it easier to sort of work both sides of their face, regardless of if one side is better, and sort of move the girl around. I prefer to do videos rather than stills with girl model, but this is the name of the game. You've always got to work with females regardless. So as you can see, I'm still having to hunch down a lot more and just make sure that I'm really using my legs and leaning back. Last thing I want to do is lean forward, because then it'll look just very, very odd, very bad. And again, I've got to really take direction from a photographer in terms of how I'm sitting in the frame. I'm just going to take off the double denim and just match the whites. She's not wearing a brassiere, so her nipples are showing through, so that's something he has to work on with Photoshop to just iron that out, which is fine, so that the shot is safe for socials. Those are the things. If you have a girl that's got a problem with bearing nipple or whatever, or can't get dressed in front of you, then she's not made for the industry, because when you're at a catwalk, you don't have time to worry about being naked and running here and there and being naked in front of everybody. It's just, there is no such thing as time, especially in a photo shoot as well, because I only mapped out like an hour and a half for 4 different outfits, you should not ever need longer than an hour. You know, get changed quickly, don't reapply makeup, come already in makeup, unless there's a makeup artist there. Again, the girl should be in makeup before the guy gets there. Guys should only apply minimal makeup unless it is an actual makeup photo shoot. So, you know, just little things like that you need to keep in mind of. Now we're trying to match shots, again, under the direction of the photographer, because he's got some ideas and inspiration already pre-thought out. Okay, so now we're outside, actually standing on a massive water tank. As you can see, Dave's got a different camera setup. He's got lighting, and she's using elements of the wind with her cape, which is exactly what you should do. And I've found a couple of swords, wearing a kilt. So this is going to be where you see various angles which need to be calculated, or at least you need to be aware of the angles that you can and can't take. So again, you need to be making sure where you're actually bending your legs from, where you're thinking, you know, my head's got to be up, I can't be looking down too much. Like, you've got to be aware of your chin. He'll tell me if I'm down too much, but also you've got to bend from your lower back. You know, make sure those pivot points are in place. And obviously when shirtless, you want to engage the abs and push them out as much as possible. With a kilt, it's going to be pushing up any sort of loose skin. Also, now when you're holding up a sword like that, you need to be making sure that the sword is forward. It's not going down. If you've got the sword behind you as well, make sure that you can see the sword and it's not at an angle. So those things are really critical. Tense your arms obviously as well. Make sure that everything possible can be seen. Generally for a shoot like this, you might even wear a fake tan, anything to do with the body, because you want for every sort of line on you to be accentuated. Black models seem to have it easier with their skin tone being able to be picked up by the camera. Again, now when I'm pulling off a sword like that, I need to be conscious of how is the sword being picked up by the camera. Need to make sure they're flat, they're not on the angle like that. So always moving them around, asking the photographer, can you see the swords correctly, or are they just looking like lines, or are they looking like swords? Because if they bend, see if I just twisted the sword there to make sure it was somewhat on point. I'm going to change for a bigger sword and check the photos, make sure they're in line. Obviously, yeah, so you can see how that's pulling up my skin, so it's not really helping my cause with my stomach. Even though I do have abs, it's still under, you know, a layer of, probably need to reduce my body fat. And again, that's why taking a whole lot of shakes, and you've got to have the diet on point all the time, and the kilt just really pushes up any excess skin that you may have. It just doesn't help your cause, but you can sort of get away with it with throwing around weapons. So using a shield and a bigger sword, now I'm needing to work with the photographer in terms of the placement, whether or not holding the sword correctly, whether or not he can see it, whether it's too much at an angle, making sure, you know, my legs are still slightly bent and I'm using my lower back to really give me that straightness. And because you can't exactly use the coat hanger idea where you pull your head up, you're going to just be thinking, am I always still, you know, like a doll, like a mannequin? And if you see the sword there, see how it's twisted? So I'm aware of where it is. I'm checking with the photographer, saying, do I need to move it? Do I need to move it? You know, can you see the straight sword? He's trying to give me direction in terms of where they need to hold the shield. If it can go in front, no, that's not what he's meaning. He's going to have to explain exactly what he's talking about, so that it's happening, and give me an idea of what's going on. So this isn't a pose that I usually do because I generally don't do shields and swords. And again, like, I just want to work with the cameraman because he's telling you exactly how far up he thinks it needs to be. And again, he's using a reference photo, something that he's looked at before. So he's now just giving me exact sort of placement of what he wants to see. You know, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, you want to be trying new things like this all the time, so that it makes sense that you're pushing yourself, learning more about angles. It's all about angles. Modeling is, you know, basic dancing in terms of you want to be moving with the camera, and you want it to become instinctual. And so the reflexes are there, so muscle memory, it just takes over, and you're always going to be pulling shapes, pulling lines. Now I'm going to try some dual photos. Obviously our outfits aren't exactly a fit, but they're close enough to you know, warrant that we're in the same photo with each other. She's using the wind, the elements around her to, you know, sort of use the cape properly. Why wouldn't you? And I'm either taking BTS on my phone for Instagram stories or just replying to messages or something while I'm out of frame. Okay, so now again I'm having to get creative in terms of how I slot into this. She's wearing high heels, so our heights are a lot easier to manage. Not having to bend down a lot, still taking some direction from the photographer as to what do we do. Luckily the sword isn't sharp, so I can run my hand over it without cutting myself. So yeah, I'm able to, you know, get creative in terms of what I can do. I'm just going to try 3 or 4 different poses. Normally here you would look at, you know, medieval type photos and posing and get some sort of style guide, mood book, whatever, so you'd have a general indication of the type of photos that you like and what works for the camera. That's really the only reason you do that. Still trying to feature her in these photos, so just make sure I'm standing back. If I'm holding the sword, I can't, you know, have it not straight, so I'm conscious of whether or not you can see the sword. And then if we're behind each other, making sure that there's any angles or whatnot. That's it. Yeah, so as you can see, there's always consistent adjustments. There's always a lot of adjustments actually, just determine what's going to work and how big the frame is and whether or not he's going to crop in. Or it's just a constant shuffle in terms of dancing, in terms of moving around. And again, the photographer's taking, you know, 40 odd photos, and he's only probably going to use, you know, 5 or 6 that are any good. Here I'm just trying to get straight but not you know, accentuate whatever lines I have, pushing my arms as far as they will go, you know, making sure I'm not leaning forward too much, but still you know, the height wise I'm relevant. Okay, Okay, now I'm going solo and I'm using the camera as sort of a mirror to just sort of adjust and make sure what I need to focus on, which parts of my body are going to be seen, if I'm, what parts of my body I really need to work on at the gym, if they're going to be seen, and just testing my flexibility for how I'm going to hold this sword, if this sword is the right one, whether that looks like the little archer's sword. So there was a bigger sword available, which I wasn't aware of, but either way, I'm going to go a bit solo and just test out how I need to stand, how I need to move before I go out and outside to do a couple of solo shots again. So again, just making sure I'm standing up straight the whole time. I see so many models that think that leaning their head down is a good look, and it just looks a bit too much. Really working on my stance, really making sure I'm pivoting from the lower back, bending my legs a little bit. You don't want your legs to be fully straight, because then, yes, you want to sort of sit into your bottom, sit into your ass, and then you don't want to drop your shoulders. You want to hold your shoulders up, and I want to make sure that that sword is coming forward. It's not leaning back too much. Like now it's leaning on my body, you can see, but I'm being very aware of how much lean it is and whether my arms need to adjust. If I can get away with a shot like that, it's okay as long as the sword is seen. But again, it's all these angles, just forward, back, backwards, very, very important. If I'm holding that sword, again, I'm just experimenting a little bit here with making sure the sword is seen, but also see as I'm holding it up straight, it's going to create a shadow on my face. And the photographer's just telling me, hey, there's too much shadow on your face. You don't want to do that. You just need to be aware of any shadow that's coming across your face, because it's not going to work for you. So now I'll come back and just try and get a little bit of stance, use my body proportions, use posture. If I'm holding it, again, the sword's back too much. It's leaning back too much. And so I'm just aware of how I'm pivoting and whatnot. And now we're going to go outside for the next bit. Okay, now I've set up the camera outside, so I'm going to pick up some swords. Again, I've really got to be conscious of every single angle that the sword is holding. And you see, I can't move it forward. I can't hold it forward and expect for that to be picked up by the camera. You can't move the sword in any other way except straight, otherwise it's going to look silly. And I can't move down. See, I'm doing this on purpose to accentuate anything that's not going to work for camera. Make sure my pivot is right. You need to think like a clock. That's what I'm trying to do here. It's like, okay, so the hands of the clock determine on where my feet are, because otherwise my feet will get lost. I'm also wearing a heeled boot, not to just give me extra height or anything, but to give it shape. You want to have really diamond sort of triangle sort of feet as much as possible. Just checking my hair, it's not looking too, manicured, because this doesn't really fit the theme of a wild Scotsman. If my hair is too pretty or too overdone, so you want to have a level of ruggedness. I've just been given a bigger sword, but also sort of double the size swords. So if I'm going to go just a singular sword, it's going to be a bigger one. Otherwise I'll use two. So again, don't want to bend over too much. You don't want the sword to be too forward. You want to think about every single angle and not being too straight on your legs. It's all very, very important, this posing part. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to attempt me as being a vampire, because I used to work at a place called Dracula's, and so I learned how to make these fake teeth. And so inserting them into, like they're made with little mold, which is a little bit of work to sort of get them around. They're not perfect, but they're pretty close. A little bit uncomfortable to wear, but again, so I've just put on some interesting pants. It's black on black on black, but again, you can see I'm really trying to get into the mode and the concept of being an animal. So my poses are a little bit more extreme. I can use crazier angles, but really accentuate the features of my face, you know, my pointy ears and my jawline, and I open up my mouth and snarl and, you know, feel like a dog, feel like an animal, and, you know, yeah, checking my head's on point by attempting to use string theory, make sure that it's like that, and again sitting into my ass so that my legs are correct, and again bending my legs a little bit as the girl comes in, trying to think about, you know, outfits that are going to somewhat match, looking at what props we could use. Also, I'm using the camera as a mirror because, you know, the mirrors there aren't widely accessible with the amount of things we got in the way. I can have prettier hair for this one. I can have more manicured hair because, again, I'm acting in a fantasy element. So yeah, again, using the camera as you need. You need to use whatever you got, whether it's your phone, whether it's a mirror. If you don't have a mirror, use your phone, use a camera, whatever you can see yourself in. You know, just adapt quickly. I didn't wear makeup for any of these shoots. Normally I probably would, but again, like, trust the photographer and his ability to use Photoshop if you thought any need for, you know, accentuating my face or making it more beautiful. Again, I'm just playing with the character idea of this shoot. Sometimes you're going to be dressed in crazy outfits, and so they're going to ask you for more different angles or things that are going to sort of snap and you know, make you look a bit more full on in the photo and a little bit more creative. But I'm definitely against crazy shapes that don't look controlled. Again, you want a level of control with your head, with your chin, so it's not too far down, it's not too much on a tilt. I'm really against too much tilt. And I'm just waiting for the photographer to be ready, you know, accentuating my jawline, using my hair, using the side of my face where my hair is coming down over my eye, because that in my head makes me think, well, this is a sexier look, it's a nicer use of hair. And then if I'm using it that way, I'm still pushing out my jawline. You know, all these things you need to be thinking about. It's not like just take a photo and hope for the best. You need to be thinking about what part of you can be picked up on the pixels of the camera. You know, whether it's your jawline, whether it's, you know, if you're conscious of that, you're going to have a better outcome on the photo. So now we're just discussing, we're going to put blood on her neck and put blood on my teeth. So what we're doing now is we're going through some inspirational photos. Most of them are like drawings of vampires, Draculas, anything like that, so we can get some ideas down what we could replicate, what we could put together in terms of what's available, and then how we would use that to you know, build out a portfolio of vampire inspired shots, whether we tag Pinterest, whether we tag Google, using StarNow accounts, every sort of modeling account, Model Mafia, you know, all these things need to be directed back to you as the model, as the inspiration, so that you are a leader in creative shoots and people are referencing your photos for later on, but also it's a way for agents to be able to identify that this guy is versatile, he can either act and whatnot. You just want to have a steady flow of offers coming to you. And the way to do that is to put yourself out there like this. So now we've got a chair. Obviously, that cushion is terrible. It doesn't team with the theme at all, so Dave's going to go find a solution for that. So we've been able to find some red carpet to put that, and I've got a vampire jacket and a hat based on some of the inspo shots that I've seen. So now I'm just going to work with the chair. Again, like the chair offers, definite straightness. That's probably a better word for that, but posture-wise, it offers, a constant posture opportunity. So now I'm just using my feet, trying to get real diamond triangle shapes out, and just getting into the character, getting into the idea of the modeling, of basically what I'm wearing. It's like when singers attempt songs. If they're going to sing the song and they don't connect with the emotion or intent of the song, then obviously they do a bad job. Same with modeling. Once you subject yourself to wearing certain clothes and the idea of it, if you don't follow through with that, like if I was just standing upright and not giving a look or an attitude, then the shot wouldn't work. It'd be stupid. It's like, why dress like that? A lot of models don't seem to connect with the clothes, even though, and neither do they think, oh, the clothes are wearing me. They think, I'm having to wear this, so it's all about my face. No one really cares so much about your face, whether or not you're believable in the shot. Are you one with the clothes? Are you one with your pose? You really want to think about that, because that's really important. For me, it's like, well, to me this is all fantasy shooting, so I can be whatever I want sitting in that chair. I can be, hey, come here, you want this vampire, you can't avoid me, you can't get away from me, look, my top hat, ways to use it so that it's not covering my face, so I'm still getting the most of me out of this shot. And then we've got to think about how we're going to include the girl. So using some inspirational shots, you do want to have some sort of connection to the girl idolizing the vampire, or she's going to be the one that the vampire eats later, all those kind of things. So it is very on point with the vibe and the theme. And you don't need her to be too dramatic. And girls aren't going to ever be too dramatic, because again, they've got a lot going on in their head. Like, is my face looking okay? Is the flow of my hair draping? Is that being picked up? They're in their own little cluster of thoughts. I just feel like I'm always having to develop the shapes around the girl and offer direction, but that's probably because I'm more experienced, done more photo shoots, and also girls will like you to take lead, but then we swap it up and we do some singles with the girl so she can get a feel for the chair, and then really get into the dramatic idea of the... So it's very important that you think of yourself like a doll. Think about, if I was made into a doll and my arms were straight, how would I then pivot my body? How would I then turn? Because that will give you the basis of back. How straight your back needs to be, how your face moves. Whether you would move like this. Sure, it looks like a robot dance, but if you can incorporate this into your modeling, you're going to be